my new studio. Looks pretty amazing, right? I just moved into it today, actually. I just got my keys and I haven't put anything in here yet, but I wanted to film my first YouTube video in my new office. Show it like it is now, be able to look back on this, in a few months and be like, oh my God, look how much it's grown. What we're gonna be talking about today, I'm gonna talk with this microphone right here because if you can probably tell, it's very echoey in here because I have nothing in here yet. So I'm gonna need to be doing some serious dampening on the sound. But this is what we got for now. And today, we're gonna be talking about the 15-inch, this is actually the 2020 model, but the Razer Blade Studio. Now, I don't know if you've seen any of the videos on YouTube when this first came out, but there was a bunch. Everybody did a review on it.
This thing is by far the most powerful laptop I've ever used in my life.
Video editing just became fun again.
So being able to play this back specifically and edit with no skipping and no drop frames, we found the half resolution, which still looks incredible. You're shooting at 8K, that's still 4K from a Red with zero skip, zero lag. You actually get to see what you're editing. You get to see the footage.
Everybody seemed to love this computer, like it was some revolution. All of a sudden a laptop now could do something that a desktop does, and maybe you don't ever need a desktop again. This is the only thing you need and you can carry it with you everywhere you go. The only caveat is that it was like $4,500 when it came out. So at the time this came out, my computer was just dying a slow death and it was just driving me nuts editing with it. I couldn't get through projects. I couldn't deliver projects when they needed to be delivered, and it was driving me absolutely insane. Fortunately, at the time, I had a little bit of extra cash and I was willing to throw down for a really good computer, and I just wanted to completely transform my whole experience with editing. So I started watching every single YouTube video, and I watched videos about the Razer Blade, I watched them about the Asus new VivoBook with the crazy touch bar thing that was really big, and I looked at MacBooks, of course, and I could not really decide what I wanted. So I narrowed it down to two computers, the Razer Blade Studio and the MacBook Pro. The only reason why I didn't get the MacBook Pro was because I live in Costa Rica. I was having somebody bring it down here and Mac Store couldn't get it to them in time, at least the fully spec'd out one that I wanted. These guys could get it there in like a couple days, so I just went with this. That was how I made my decision. And don't get me wrong, this computer is a great computer. In fact, this computer is the best computer that I've ever had. But that's not saying much. I've had a lot of crappy computers. So if you're like me and you watch every single tech video when a new product comes out, whether or not you're gonna buy it or not, you probably have fallen into the whole big hype culture on new tech. And it seems like everything that comes out, people hype it up like it's the next best thing, and they don't really have maybe the real world experience with it yet to be making those claims. Of course, everything when you get it and it's brand spanking new works usually quite well, but does it last? And for somebody that works on a computer very heavily, edits every single day, I'm editing like a couple videos a day, I need something that's gonna withstand the test of time. One of the biggest things I like about this computer is the screen. You guys probably can't see it at all right now, but I'll plug in some B-roll right here. And I know it's not gonna do it justice, but this screen is quite amazing. It's an OLED 4K screen, and literally anything you watch on it looks twice as good as it would on any other computer. So I end up watching all my movies on this computer now because it just looks amazing. And my videos, the quality is just like incredible. But if the quality of your video or your photo is not incredible, it'll actually show those imperfections more. So if you have a really low light situation and a camera that's not so good with low light, like maybe the Air 2, which I have, the drone, sometimes it introduces some noise into the image, and you can see that noise in the blacks very much on this screen, and you may not be able to see it at all on other screens. So it's quite difficult when you're editing to know what the final product is going to look like in other people's devices, because most people don't have a 4K OLED screen on their phone or their computer. And so most people aren't gonna see it like you're seeing it. So when you're color grading, making it look like, you know, punchy and vibrant, it's gonna look less vibrant on other screens. So I guess the best way would be to have an external monitor that's not an OLED screen, that you can actually see what it's gonna look like in the final product. That's about it that I can think about that I really love about this computer, honestly. Let's get into what I don't like, because I'm kind of disappointed in this computer. So that's what I'm gonna talk about. First of all, the battery life is terrible. I know it's a very powerful computer, and generally when you're editing, you're gonna plug it in anyway, but if you are on the go and you're traveling and you wanna bust out a video, this is not the computer for you. You will not get through any time editing on this without being plugged in, without the battery just dying on you. Like maybe like 30 minutes of editing. If you're not editing, you're just doing normal tasks, browsing the internet, it probably lasts hours. But when this thing gets started up in Premiere, it just sucks the battery life out of it. And on top of that, it gets super hot. So this computer literally gets like burning hot. I have to actually run it on one of those cooling stands with the fan under it. I live in Costa Rica, so obviously it's a lot hotter here, the ambient temperature. Depending on where you're living, you're gonna get a little bit different experiences. But this is not the computer for the tropics. This thing runs so incredibly hot. I'm constantly managing the heat on this, and then when it gets hot, it runs even slower. I think I'm gonna run back to my house now because there's nothing in here. I don't even have a desk yet in here, and it's very echoey, so I'm sure you guys are tired of listening to this bad reverb. So let's pop over to my house and keep going on to what annoys me about this computer. All right, back at my house. It's quiet right now, but it's probably gonna be loud in like 2 seconds. There's a wood shop next to me, and they have this freaking air compressor that turns on every once in a while, so it might ruin my video. But anyway, pretty soon I'm gonna be in my studio and it's gonna be all set up, so it'll be a lot better then. So another thing about this computer is the speakers are terrible. It said that the speakers are amazing, but they sound like they're coming from like just a tweeter. Like there's just no bass, no even middle ground. It's just all treble, and it sounds kind of like tinny and like echoey and weird. And it's just really weird for like a over $4,000 computer. They couldn't put decent speakers in it. Now the biggest reason why I bought this computer is the NVIDIA RTX 5000 graphics card in it. Now NVIDIA is known for having some of the best graphics cards. I think they work very well in their desktops, but specifically for editing in Premiere, I've noticed that it doesn't really use it to its capacity, and it's still just maxing out my CPU and using my graphics card at like maybe 40%. So I don't feel like, at least in this system here, this NVIDIA graphics card is all that amazing. But what I think the biggest problem is I think Windows just sucks. And honestly, I'm just over it. There's so many different moving parts going on in this computer, and any PC for that matter. I mean, I've been using PCs my whole life off and on, and you know, I'm used to them. When they work, they're great. Every part of this computer is made by a different company, and somehow all of those pieces have to work together, and they don't always work together. This is the beauty of Mac. They make every part of their computer, now even the processor, and it just makes it so they know for sure that all of those parts are gonna work together, and it's gonna work, you know, perfectly and fast and not have a bunch of issues. Windows computers have what are called drivers, which, as far as I know, don't exist on a Mac, or they exist and they're just all contained and you don't have to worry about them. But Windows has like, I swear, like 1,000 different drivers in it for every different thing you're doing. You know, for your graphics card, for your integrated graphics card, for your audio drivers. There's all kinds of drivers, and you have to make sure that they're working right with whatever the most recent Windows upgrade you're using, whatever the most recent Premiere you're using, whatever the most recent NVIDIA drivers you're using. And if one of those drivers or one of those programs don't work with the other system, it's just disaster. and it can go from working super fast and just flying through projects to literally clunking through and I can't even get through a project. And then I'm spending the entire next day troubleshooting the computer. Now, I know some of you guys are gonna say in the comments that it's just Premiere maybe, and I need to switch over to, you know, a Mac with Final Cut or switch over to Resolve. And you're probably right. And I do have Resolve on this computer and I've started to tinker around with it. And I do believe I'm just gonna go for it and just switch over, because I have just as many problems with Premiere as a piece of software as I do with this Windows computer as a whole. And it's the same thing. Sometimes it works great, and then other times I can't even finish my projects. So I think that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch over to either Resolve or Final Cut and get a Mac, because, you know, it's a great computer. And if you are a very, very good tech person, you know, like you're really good at troubleshooting and you enjoy troubleshooting, which I definitely don't. Then, you know, Windows PC might be great for you, or maybe you have enough money that you can just bring it in to get repaired every couple months. But if you're a creator and you're making videos, don't really make the mistake that I did and go for a PC. I would just stick with Mac. Macs are just a dream for creators and making video content, especially the new M1s. Again, this is what I'm seeing in YouTube videos, you know, hyping these new Macs up again. And what I want to say is be wary of that, because that was the same thing that was going on with this computer when it first came out. It takes some time, you know, to break in a computer to see how it's actually going to operate. And, you know, most things right when you buy them brand new tend to work pretty well. To wrap this up, this is a good computer. It's, like I said, the best I've ever had. But if you're doing heavy content creation and video editing on a regular basis, and you want something that's just easy to work with, not worrying about troubleshooting a bunch, just open it up, it works. Maybe think about a different setup. MacBook or even a MacBook Air is probably honestly just as fast as this, the M1s. And I think I can pretty confidently say this is my last PC I'll ever have. So I hope you guys enjoyed my rant in some ways, or if you were thinking about getting this computer or another Razer Blade, I don't recommend it. I mean, maybe if you're gaming, I don't know if it works a lot better for that, or who knows, maybe I just got a bad one, or maybe I'm just terrible with computers. I don't know. I do everything right, I think, and I back things up and I keep it clean. I don't even really use this for anything but editing, but that's my experience with it, and I just wanted to give you guys an honest review after actually using this computer for some time. So if you're new to this channel, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.